Hello. So, welcome to this week's video. So, I don't know why, but my guides wanted me to talk about triggers this week. And I have this big list of all of these really super meta videos that I want to talk about, right? And I was talking to them, I was like, yeah, so like what are we thinking for this week? And they were like, triggers. And I was like, really? Okay. And they were like, look, it's not all about you. It's not all about everything you want to do. You're a vessel, so sort your stuff out. They weren't quite like that, but they basically told me that, we're talking about triggers this week. So I was like, okay, we're a team. It's not just one being here. There's many. So, we have to honor that. So, and also they did, I don't really have any notes or anything like that. I'm just gonna kind of go off the cuff, and it's kind of interesting as well, actually, because I've been getting triggered a lot recently, like a lot. And Saturn's stationing retrograde right now, and I'm in my Saturn return. Saturn in Pisces, if you know, it's a struggle. And I'm also Pisces stellium, Pisces sun, Pisces Mars, Pisces Saturn. So yeah, it's very, 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 very intense right now. So with this kind of, the one thing that my guides did kind of bring up or talk to me about when I was kind of just discussing a little bit about, triggers. They said to me, look at triggers as a light. Look at your triggers as a light, because it brings illumination to something that is in darkness or something that is hidden. And they said, and I love this, it's so poetic. I'm a poet, my guides are poets, as above, so below. They were like, bright lights hurt the eyes, but once it settles, it's really nice to be able to see. And I was like, yeah, I get you. That's so true. And so I've just recently been in Turkey, which I have a long family history with the country. Both my great grandparents are buried there, and so is my grandmother. And I hadn't been back to Turkey for around 13 years, despite all of my family going all the time. It had just never aligned for me to go. And I ended up going back actually on the 10th anniversary, almost exactly. It's weird. The universe is weird. Almost exactly 10 years since my gran passed away, which would have been the 18th of June, 2013. I ended up going back on the 8th of June, 2023. So yeah, crazy mirrored numerology there if you sit with that for a bit. And it was this really beautiful, like deeply healing experience. But I also was having all of these like realizations of being there when I was younger. And I used to get really grumpy whenever we would go, and I didn't know why. And it used to really upset me because it was like everybody was like looking forward to these family holidays, and I would just be in a bad mood. Not like all the time, 24 hours a day, but a lot of the time, I just wasn't. I wasn't in a good mood, and really actually throughout my childhood, I wasn't in a good mood a lot of the time. And when I got there, obviously I hadn't been in a long time, and I knew I was going to be doing work with the land. I knew I was going to be doing stuff with this sort of with grid work there, but I just didn't know exactly what it was going to be, what it was going to look like, etc., etc. And when I got there, I was like, oh my god, there's just so many spirits on this land. And my dad, where my grand's house is as well, which is now my dad's house, that piece of land it is like on the side of this Turkish mountain. It's like just exceptionally beautiful. It's just surrounded by nature, and you can't hear anything apart from cockerels, and it's super rural. And I was like just seeing spirits everywhere. Like, we'd be sitting down at having a conversation at the table, just out my corner of my eye, I'm just seeing all of these spirits just constantly. And I was like, okay, like there's something going on here. And it was like, I was seeing like whole families, and they'd be dressed quite, not like super well to do, but like almost like they were dressed up for like a day at like, I don't know, like a sort of event or something, like slightly formal attire and all of this stuff. And I was like, And then I noticed I was getting in these sort of bad moods, like my mood was dropping. And it just clicked. It was like, I was like, oh my God. I was like, because for me, being a super in tune psychic child going there, I'm picking up on all of these spirits, but I wasn't super in tune with what I was reading. You know, I wasn't like, okay, yeah, this is, you know, I'm reading this family's trauma because they died somewhere near here, and they're, you know, they maybe don't know that they're dead, and so they're just kind of floating around like they're alive, that kind of thing. You know, as a child, I wasn't reading that information. I was just feeling everything. And so going back now as an adult who is now a professional psychic and is, you know, able to read that data, like, so, you know, I just know. And so it was just such a realization, you know, of like, and also like a sort of forgiveness for myself as well, because I caused my family a lot of shit. Okay, when I was growing up, I was a very challenging child, you know, and I understand so much of that now, why I was so challenging, because I had these gifts that were really open and nobody understood how to work with them, or why I was always feeling all of this stuff, you know, nobody, and that's no detriment or fault to anybody else, but nobody understood that. I didn't understand that. And so it was such like a healing to that part of me that sometimes I look back on my childhood and I cringe a little bit, and I'm like, oh, you know, I really put them through a lot of stuff, you know, like my parents and, you know, step parents, whatever. And, you know, so it was a real like thing for me just to be like, I get you, younger me, you know, I understand why you were so, why you experienced so many challenges, you know, because it's not easy being hyper sensitive, you know, in a world that doesn't understand how to support that. And so that was like a really deep level kind of healing that occurred for me. And so it was kind of like slightly triggering, but it shone this light on this thing that I hadn't been able to fully witness about myself. And it took for me to go back to that place where I had this history to really see that and really truly understand that. And, you know, it's not always necessary, I think, to go back to certain places, but I think the activations that happen when you do can be profound, you know, and it's all perfect divine timing, etc. And then, you know, I sort of set about doing all of this grid work when I was there as well, and you know, just crossed over so many souls. Like, I was just lying on my bed, opened this massive portal, and I was just like, right guys, let's go. Let's go, whatever you need, like tell me, what are we clearing up, cords, contracts, etc., what do you need to cross over? And it's so funny because, well, not funny, but it's interesting how so many spirits, the only thing they actually need in order to cross over, some of them it's much more complex. A lot of them just need to know that they're dead, because so many, they're still there in this rotation, right? Because they don't know that they're dead. And when you tell them that, they're like, oh, and then they know exactly what to do, and they're off, you know? But obviously some cases can be a lot more complex than that. But yeah, and Turkey as well has got sort of natural disaster kind of history, like to do with earthquakes. And so, you know, it was a lot of people that X amount of years ago have died in those natural disasters and hadn't realized that they had spirits around my nose, go away, that hadn't realized, you know, that they'd crossed over. So yeah, so that was like a lot of the work that I was doing there, and just codes flooding through me into the land, you know, grid workers, you know what I'm talking about. And then another kind of trigger that I had that had come up was, so my dad and his wife stayed a bit longer than the rest of us, than me and three of my brothers. I have 5 brothers. 3 of them were with us, were on the holiday. And me and the 3 of my brothers left, and we were all flying back together. And as we were, you know, everything was fine, you know, until we got to the border security coming back into Scotland. And, you know, I've got a mixed race family. You know, my mom's black, my dad's white, and three of my younger brothers are actually are white. And so the two younger brothers that were with us are obviously both white, and then my older brother he's mixed race like me. And so my older brother and one of my other brothers went through no problem. Me and my youngest brother, he's only 17, you know, I've got to keep an eye on him. You know, I was like, right, we'll go through together, you know, because he's just dawdling about on his phone and, you know, talking to his girlfriend, this and that. And I'm like, right, come on, we'll go through together. And so we walk up, we hand over our passports, and the woman just stares at us. And she's like, what is your relationship with him? And I was like kind of affronted because, one, her tone, she was just so rude. There's ways to handle this kind of stuff without being totally rude. And also, you know, just the look that she was giving me, like I was some terrible person. I don't know what was going through her head, but also we've got the same surname. Like that should kind of give you an indication of what you need to know, that we're probably related. You know, we've got the same surname. And I was like, he's my brother. And she was like, he's your brother? And I was like, yes. And then she's given us back the passports and just said, on you go. And I was just like, if I was really up to something really terrible, you're an awful border security agent, because if you thought something awful was going on, then you didn't even like really do anything to really check in about what was going on, you know? So just the whole thing, I was just so baffled by, like, it, you know, either just don't ask the question, or if you need to like take us aside and actually you want to commence some sort of investigation, then, you know, do that officially. But like, just her whole manner, her whole demeanor, everything, I was just like, what on earth? And I got really annoyed. It really got under my skin, you know, because I've grown up in a mixed race family. You know, things have happened, like, you know, there's quite a big age gap, well, not that big, 9 years, 12 years, whatever, between me and my older brother and some of our younger brothers. And, you know, sometimes we've been babysitting them for my dad, we've taken them out to the park, and people have just been like staring at us like they want to phone the police. And do you know what I mean? I've had this kind of stuff my whole life, being part of a mixed race family, you know, people not thinking that I'm my dad's daughter, you know, even though I'm literally the double of my dad, you know, like I couldn't look more like him if I tried. And, you know, my brothers, yeah, we're half brothers, half siblings, but we look alike. Like if you look at our faces, it's not hard to know that we're related, you know, aside from the fact that we have different skin color. You know, we still have a whole pair in common. It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot of DNA in common, you know. And so I did get quite, you know, it just really got under my skin. And again, it was like that illumination process of something that, you know, I've worked so hard to kind of overcome so much of the racism that I experienced growing up in Scotland. You know, Scotland is not famous for being like a very multi-ethnic, multicultural place, and that's fine. But there are obviously ramifications to that for someone like me growing up here, being the only mixed race girl with like a black parent in my whole school, you know, for a long time. And then, you know, certainly in my class, and, you know, things like that they leave imprints on you. But I have worked so hard with this stuff, and then sometimes it's like you just get this little thing and it comes up and you're like, oh. But, you know, I was so thankful for, you know, my very deep meditation practice that I've been doing, and just for all of that work that I've been putting into myself, because yes, it irritated me, but I was able to let it go, and I was able to recognize, you know, where it was coming from. And it was coming from that place of feeling unseen, feeling unheard, feeling like, you know, kind of inferior, like I'm not good enough. You know, especially when it was coming from this position of authority. I have this whole, you know, a lot of my life, I've had a lot of triggers around authority figures. You know, I couldn't cope with school. I don't like being told what to do. I'm, you know, very much have to be my own boss, because I'm just, you know, unless with certain things, you know, it's fine. But That can be a real trigger for me. Authority figures, you know, teachers, the police, all of these things when I was growing up, you know, were sort of real points of contention for me. And so again, kind of having to deal with that and deal with what was coming up around that, and also like how I was gonna then you know, move forward in that situation. Past me might have been a little bit more bitey back to that woman, and I just took a deep breath, and, you know, obviously as well, because I'm in this guardianship role for my little brother, you know, I also want to make sure he's safe, make sure he's protected. Poor little thing, when bright red, you know, he's felt really like embarrassed, because it's just like, why is this woman, you know, speaking to my big sister like that, you know? And so, you know, things like that, you know, so I was triggered into this protection role over him. And so there was a lot going on, you know, and I think that's the thing about triggers as well, is like it will shine this light on all of these different things. It isn't just, oh, a trigger around my experiences of racism. No, it's a trigger around authority. It's a trigger around being a protector. It's a trigger around all of these different elements. And so that's the beauty of being triggered, you know, it's multidimensional. It's a multidimensional experience, you know, and the amount of times as well where I've been triggered and I've gone, okay, I start doing my psychic tracking and I go, is that from this lifetime? No. Is it from past life? No, not an Earth past life. Is it galactic? Oh, that's a galactic trigger, you know, that's me reading a trigger around a galactic timeline that needs to be collapsed or needs to be integrated. And it's so often when you get these triggers around galactic things, it's because that part of you is ready to integrate into your current like the sort of mirrors that your soul holds, the fragments of your soul, and is ready to now be integrated. And that's when you get these spontaneous activations of certain psychic gifts or awarenesses, or, you know, you get these big claircognizant downloads about your lifetime there, or clairvoyant visions about your lifetime there, or, you know, telepathic communications with the collective that you are part of, that you have an aspect of you is part of, you know. So triggers can lead you into just the most beautiful experiences. And I remember hearing someone say once, like, run to your triggers. Get excited when you have a trigger, because it means that there's another layer, you're digging deeper. There's another layer of yourself that you're going to unlock, whether it's galactic, whether it's Earth, whether it's elemental, you know, or just another part of you from this timeline, this aspect of you that you're ready to unlock. And that's like the most exciting thing, you know. So because when we peel back those layers, that's how we open up. That's how we open up our heart space. That's how we're able to access more of who we really are. That's how we're able to download more of our mission pieces and really understand more of what we're here to do. And I think that's also the key around like triggers, things that you are really specifically triggered by are things that you're here to support other people with. You know, those kind of themes are something that you are here to share codes around. There's a reason why you get triggered around certain things, whether that's, you know, certain things that are like ancestral or anything, you know. It's because there's a certain coding that you hold. There's a resonance field within you, and it's likely, you know, if you resonate as somebody who's a healer, who's a starseed, etc., those thematic triggers are probably something that you're here to support other people with. So examining that a little bit deeper, look at the themes which come up for you, look at how they've played out in your life. You know, is it something like for me, authority is a big one. Race is a big one. You know, look at whatever, you know, maybe it's traumas to do with the father wound, maybe it's specific traumas to do with the mother wound. It's archetypal. Look at the archetypal wounds that you hold, because they hold the keys for the people that you're here to help and the people you're going to help create these big shifts with. So I think that is everything. Thank you so much for watching this, and yeah, let me know what you think. As always, email me, Instagram me, message me in whatever way you like. And yeah, I'm always so happy to hear what everybody thinks. So yeah, thank you for watching this and take care.